Doesn't
I
say
just said
recording.
allow.
Oh, got it. Got it.
Perfect. Okay, everybody, hi and welcome. Right now we're so excited to be interviewing Sarah Breskman Cosme, who is an amazing level 3 quantum healing hypnosis technique practitioner and a master of hypnosis who studied under Dr. Brian Weiss. She just released a book, I don't know exactly how long ago, but an amazing book called A Hypnotist's Journey to Atlantis. And she resides in Florida with her 3 beautiful children and her husband. And we're going to be talking to her a little bit more and diving into her history, her past, how she got to where she is now. So welcome, Sarah. We're so humbled to have you here.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you so much for being here and making the time for us. The first question we would really like to ask you is just, how did you get to where you are? Did you always have certain gifts as a child that maybe connected you to either the cosmos or like the divine? Were there any sort of like supernatural or maybe a little bit of any gifts that you were blessed with as a child, or did the gifts come sort of later in life?
My family wasn't spiritual at all. We didn't grow up with any religion because my parents have 2 opposite religions. My dad's side of the family is very, very Jewish, and my mom's side of the family is very, very Quaker. So because of that, we just we just didn't have a religion, although we learned about each other's. But I didn't have any kind of spiritual background whatsoever. And I was just one of those really, really sensitive children. So I did used to see spirit, but I don't anymore when I was growing up. But I didn't know that they were ghosts because they would talk to me. I'd have full conversations with them. And I didn't even know that they were deceased. It started when I was really young, and I would have these conversations with this older woman in my grandmother's house. And I really look forward to going to visit her because she was so great. She would tell me things about my mom, what my mom was like as a child. She would give me, different advice, and I would talk to her. I'd tell her all about I would really love dancing, so I told her all about dancing, and she would ask me questions, and I had so much fun with her. Years later, I found out that she passed way before I was born, and I said to my mom, that's impossible. I can tell you all different kinds of things we talked about. So I don't have that. I can't see like that anymore. But that was when I found out that she had passed, that was just shocking to me because I didn't have any kind of spiritual background. I got into all of this just totally by accident because, like I said, I was really sensitive and I was really overweight. I had all kinds of phobias and fears because of my sensitivity and all kinds of issues. So I just didn't know how to help myself. And I went to regular therapy for many, many years. And I didn't seem to get any better. I mean, it seemed like I could actually get worse just by talking about my problems. And I had so many problems. I mean, it was just, oh my gosh. But because of that background, I thought, well, I'm going to be a psychologist because it was the only method that I was aware of in order to help other people. And so I went to college to become a psychologist. And a lot of my family, they have a very scientific background. So I also adopted that as well. And I did not, like I said, did not have a spiritual background, but something really amazing happened to me right after I went to college. So about 2 months after I went to college, I came back home to my family's house for the very first time. And it was unbelievable. It was just like one of those aha moments. I looked at myself in the mirror and my jaw dropped because while I had been away for just 2.5 months, I had lost a ton of weight. And as I looked at myself, I realized, oh my gosh, I had forgotten to have all my problems while I was away. And then it dawned on me, oh wow, my thought patterns are what's creating all my problems. It's nothing else. It was my thoughts.
It's such a
And
beautiful way to say it. I'm sorry to cut you off. I forgot to have all my problems.
well, it was something that was just so shocking because I had been busy. I wanted to be the best psychologist in the world. I mean, I'm serious. Gung ho is like an understatement. I was going to learn everything. Everyone would be healed. Nobody was going to have any kind of suffering or problem after I was done with them. This is in my thoughts. So I had forgotten to have the same thought patterns that I had in my family's house because I did the same thing every day. I had the same routines and I had the same problems, and they never went away, even though I would go to therapy. And it was just so shocking to me that something like this could have happened, that it changed the way I've lived my life ever since. So now I understand the different thought patterns that I can get into. And if I find myself in, say, like a negative spiral, I will simply just change things, like get out of the other side of the bed, or, do something different to kind of like recreate a new pattern. And I've noticed that I can kind of manipulate my reality that way. And I've never had, an issue whatsoever with any of these problems once I understood that I had so much control over myself. But I still went to college. So I graduated. I wanted to be a psychologist, but I had to get an internship before going to graduate school. And my internship was where I would actually distribute and give the patients their medication, and I would also counsel them. Now, I had learned so much about these counseling techniques. And even though I was going to become a psychologist, I had to learn about medication. And I believed everything that I learned in college. I thought, wow, this is the leading edge of thought. I am going to be the best. I got like the highest grade in my psychopharmacology class. And I was just like, I mean, like I said, gung ho understatement. Okay. So I get on the field. I'm actually able to help people. And then within a week, I felt as if everything I learned was a lie because I didn't see, this is just my own experience, but I didn't see the type of success stories that I thought I was going to walk into. I noticed that for me, and I'm trying not disregarding the profession whatsoever, but I didn't see anyone get better. In fact, people got worse from a lot of these medications, and a lot of the patients were people that talked to extraterrestrials. So this is 1997. The protocol when someone was speaking with extraterrestrials was to put them on this really heavy duty medication. And so if I started my shift at say 7 a.m., they'd be drooling on the couch. Long story short, this was not for me. I did not become a psychologist because I did not like what I was seeing. And I thought, I want to do something effective and I want to help people. So years later, down the road, I found hypnosis. And I thought, wow, this is a better way because you can get to the root cause of an issue. And in order to become a master hypnotist, I had to do lose weight, quit smoking, and past life regression. But it was so wild because it was so obvious that even though, I really wanted to do more lose weight and quit smoking, the past life regression method seemed to work so much better and people were healing themselves. So I studied with Dr. Brian Weiss and I got good in his method, and that really opened my eyes to spiritual concepts. So it was just by accident that I got into all this. And then I eventually found Dolores and I worked my way up, and just everything took off ever since. But the way I got into all this information that has been coming through this, my clients, which is just mind blowing, was also by accident. So I had no intention of ever being a writer or speaking about any of this information whatsoever. I never even could have thought I'd be doing what I'm doing now, ever. But I wanted to take the highest level of this quantum healing hypnosis technique class, and I needed somebody to regress on the spot. So I had to find somebody. And I asked my friend Jen, who I'd been friends with for over 10 years, if she would be my volunteer. Now, I knew that Jen wasn't into any of this stuff, but I asked her anyway. And Jen, since she had been my friend for 10 years, I knew a lot about her. I knew she was very scientific. I knew she was the teacher at the kids' school. And I knew she didn't believe in extraterrestrials or past life regression. So, but I asked her if she would be my subject. And I told her a little bit about it and that you could even heal herself. You know, you can heal yourself in these sessions pretty easily. And she just looked so shocked because she was suffering from this brain condition and she hadn't told anyone about it. And she said she'd definitely be my subject because she was working closely with a team of specialists. Long story short, in our first session, she healed herself. And also, all this information started coming out of her session. And I wrote my first book, A Hypnotist's Journey to Atlantis, with this information. And it has just been a wild ride since. What I've come to understand is that they use me. I'm just like the facilitator, though. I'm not the one writing the books. They use me to get this information out, and they create a platform through me. I'm literally just the messenger. And then they're able to leak this information into the book, and then I'll speak and they'll leak it that way. So they're able to use me to get this really important information out that is so beneficial to humanity. Like I said, I'm not the one writing it. It feels almost like a phone conversation, like where different beings are coming through my clients. Because whether it's a past life personality or literally speaking to an extraterrestrial or just God itself, it's really interesting, this phenomenon that's happening.
Absolutely. And I think you touched on so much there. It's so interesting how your background was psychology, and then you saw a certain the structure wasn't working, and that you said people were getting worse, and that sort of led you down a path in which you're in now, and like being one of like the people that spearhead this movement, both with Dolores Cannon and Dr. Brian Weiss. But just for our viewers and for anybody like who may feel, some people feel apprehension towards hypnosis, stating like that they're scared something will be planted in like their subconscious, and they're very vulnerable at the moment. Is there anything that you can say like to dispel that fear? Like how do you see that?
I mean, we're programmed to be fearful of it. It's in the movies. We're told some religions say hypnosis is bad, and there's a reason for that. Because when you do this type of session, you realize not only just how powerful you really are, and then who you really are. And once you understand that, it's a game changer. And that's dangerous if you really think about it. When you have so much power, then how can anyone control you anymore? And we live in a society that has a lot of control systems placed on it. But all hypnosis really is, that state when you wake up in the morning and you can still remember your dreams. That is the deep theta state. That's the same state that you go into in one of these sessions. And if you think about that state, you have full control over your body. In fact, you have more awareness. So you're actually tapped into a lot of information, but yet it feels like you're very much awake. So, you have control over your body. You're aware of what's the sounds in the room and outside of the room, and you know everything that's going on, but you have access to this information like you have access to your dream. And then when you wake up all the way, it starts to fade. And you think, oh my gosh, I wasn't really fully awake, was I? But you realize you had so much access to information. You think, oh, wish I could have written that dream down. That's why I record these sessions. But it's very valid for people to be fearful because we've been programmed to be fearful, and we've been programmed to be fearful for a reason. Because once you awaken, you can't go back asleep.
This
Yeah.
is true.
And you said that you come, there's a lot of information that came through.
So
We
much.
have all this information, and it's interesting for me, for our listeners to understand, like what are the things that were like most like jaw dropping for you, that
Okay, so the moment where my jaw dropped to the floor was after Jen healed herself in her first session. She went back to her team of specialists and they said, we don't understand what happened. You know, you're fully healed. We have no idea what happened. And she told them, well, it was because I had this session and I found out the root cause of the issue, and that was all I needed to do. Because in her session, her first session with me, I asked her subconscious, what is the root cause of this brain condition? And they said the root cause was the catalyst to get her to go see me, because since she was not into any of this stuff, she would have never gone to see me and have this session if she didn't have something that would drive her to the session. And so I asked, well, now that she's aware of this, can you release it? And they said yes. And she started to feel it draining. And then I asked her higher self, or her subconscious, whatever you want to call the part of everyone that knows everything about them. I asked her subconscious, why did you show us this lifetime? Because they showed us a lifetime. She went back to a lifetime where she was remembering these ancient civilizations of Lemuria and Atlantis. This is, again, someone who didn't believe in these civilizations. So I asked her subconscious, why'd you show us this lifetime? And her subconscious said, because we chose to come in to this lifetime and uncover and share all this important knowledge with humanity, that humanity needs this information desperately. And it's going to come out, and you guys chose to be the ones to get this information and share it. And the subconscious said, just put it in a book and we will share it for you. You will meet the people you need to meet. We'll just go and share it everywhere. So my friend Jen and I decided, well, let's find out what this really valuable, important information is. So in our next session, I told her subconscious, okay, take us to the beginning of this story, the story that you want us to share with the world. What is so important that everybody needs to understand? And I was under the impression she was most likely going to remember her childhood in this ancient civilization that we had seen in our first session. But that was not the case whatsoever. They took her back to another lifetime as an extraterrestrial, a commander of an extraterrestrial ship crash landing on Earth for the very first time. And before even working for the first time with Jen, I had asked her, what are your belief systems? Do you believe in extraterrestrials? And she said, definitely not. So my friend did not believe in extraterrestrials. And here in our second session, she's remembering in full detail the ship, what is she looks like. She's got her different planet. I mean, it was just mind blowing to me. My jaw dropped to the floor because I thought I knew her very well. I mean, we had been friends for 10 years. I knew she didn't believe in extraterrestrials. And this type of information was even more detailed than the information I was receiving or have ever heard before. So I knew that was impossible for her to receive it. But the beginning of the story that they started sharing with me, and I just write it into the book, is they wanted to know us to know what we're really a part of. So Jen remembered this past lifetime as an extraterrestrial, and it started to become more clear as to why there are so many extraterrestrials here living incarnated as us. And there's so much to this. So Jen remembered that living on her planet, whatever you want to call it, and there was a lack of these resources. And what they would do was they would create almost like a vortex, like another realm, a dimension. They would use special crystals, and they were running out of this resource. And Earth is full of this resource, apparently. And there are many different beings that have seeded Earth, but we're talking just the one that Jen remembers, which they came from the Pleiadian star system. So, and Jen doesn't know anything about the Pleiadian star system. So they're telling us through Jen that they created this realm. And what they would do is everyone in the society had to go into this vortex, and then they would be shocked the truth, like the truth of the whole experiment. They'd be shocked into enlightenment, basically. So, of course, I was really curious. Okay, tell me step by step what you noticed. So I had her go into the vortex, and she started to feel her body like get very heavy and then kind of separate, and she could see the whole secrets of the universe. And so, what they had set up was they would understand that everything is in this figure eight pattern where time does not really exist. When you understand
Infinity.
the secrets, it's like it folds up on top of itself. So there is no end or no beginning. But the secret of the universe that is like this big secret is that this whole experience is just a game. And that this game has been going on for longer than anybody could possibly comprehend, like in the aspect of time, because all of us, like all of us, we're all part of this ancient, ancient group. I mean, it doesn't matter what you do, you're part of this group. And we've all done this for the millennia. We've gone from realm or planet, whatever you want to call it, to planet. And we see that population, we watch it unfold, and we have as many experiences as we can. And we keep doing that. We keep doing that because what we're doing is we're expanding our energy. We're learning as much as we possibly can on each planet. And then we do something different in a different place. So we're constantly evolving what you would call a soul, but really we're all one. We're just pretending to have this individual experience. But when you say when you die or you have an experience in a different realm where you are another being, you fully understand that you are actually God, but you pretend to be separate. Like this is really exciting to be in a physical human body because you can pretend to be different than everyone else, but it's not really true because when you as soon as a soul leaves its body, it considers itself a we again, and it's a we again. We're just pretending to be I. But essentially, that's what we keep doing because we want to go through this expansion. We want to go through these ascensions. Being in a physical body right now means that you are a master level soul. Not just anyone is incarnated on earth by accident. Everybody that's incarnated on earth is part of this ascension process, whether they're aware of it or not. And it's okay if they're people that are like what you would call in a negative polarity because they're important. They're holding that space. We need the negative in order for people to start questioning things, in order for them to go inwards. So there is no right or wrong way to be a part of this ascension process, but everybody here is a part of it.
That's interesting. But so first, I understand that we are total descendants of extraterrestrials,
Yeah.
right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And we're the same bloodline. You talked about the oneness,
Mm-hmm.
and you talked about we here to ascend and to learn
Mm-hmm.
and to basically grow and evolve.
Mm-hmm.
But with it, there's always that feeling or assumption that extraterrestrials or Pleiadians, for example, they're more evolved beings than we are.
Not always, believe it or not.
Okay,
Not
so can you
all
clarify that?
extraterrestrials. You know, it's really interesting because I thought these extraterrestrials would be way more advanced spiritually than us,
Right.
understand concepts that we don't understand about spirituality, and that's not always the case. And a lot of times they don't always know the answer. So it depends on which group of extraterrestrials you're talking to. But you know what I've come to understand after doing this since 2009 is that you have a different type of contact experience with extraterrestrials based on your own frequency. So if you're attracting like say a lower level extraterrestrial, it's not your fault. It's not like, oh my gosh, you're doing something wrong. It's just your frequency. So you can have a better contact experience just by working on yourself. Because if you really think about it, the truth is that we are all one. So you're attracting other versions of yourself. So, I didn't quite understand this concept until much later, but everything is happening in this now moment since time doesn't really exist in the rest of the universe. So everything that has happened, everything that will happen is sort of like happening. And
Real
so
time, right?
yeah, and
Yeah.
there's other versions of yourself in other places having experiences. So everyone also has an extraterrestrial version of themselves, many in other places. And if you want to have contact with them and ask them questions, all you have to do is ask and they will contact you. And one time I asked the higher consciousness, okay, so many people are having contact experiences. I mean, you hear about these contact scenarios, just how many people are having contact and experiences, because it seems like a lot. And they said all people have contact experience, whether they know it or not. It's not like small group here and there, because we all have extraterrestrial versions of ourselves, because we are from extraterrestrials. There's not anyone walking the planet today that's just fully human. The fully human beings, according to a lot of my clients, are the Sasquatch. They are the original human, and they still live in and out of different dimensions, but they evolved in a different way in with their spirituality because they weren't tampered with. We're just a different genetic makeup, if that makes sense. But our aim, our goal right now is to have this experience, to fully be in this experience, this ascension process. And you can't do it wrong. It's not like you have to hurry up or anything. You don't, I mean, I've heard people say that you better hurry up, you better get your stuff together, raise your frequency. I never hear that. I never hear that. It's an internal shift that each person does. It's not like you're going to um it's not like you're going to be popped out of your body or something strange. You're just shifting yourself with your own belief systems, and you choose almost like a different version of your reality. And we're already doing that mentally, many of us. A lot of people go in and out of the fifth dimension all the time, and you'll notice it because things seem really happy. There's just like a different ease about life, because that dimension, or whatever you want to call it, is already available. It's already there. And a lot of us are in and out mentally. We just haven't made the shift physically. And that's only because of our internal belief systems. It's just really a process of getting rid of all these negative programs that we've been taught all our life. Like these programs, like you're not powerful, you aren't creating your own reality, blah, 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 blah. You can't heal yourself. It's just releasing all the old, because what's available is so new. What's available is like learning to become more sensitive to the new frequencies, the new energies on our planet. Just like when you get the goosebumps, say, and all your hairs are standing up, really what's happening is you are an antenna. You're downloading information. And if we can learn to, it's very new though. This is new for humanity, but learn to understand and work with the new energies of these dimensions, then we'll all be able to do this, and we'll all be able to be more telepathic. We're going to be able to heal ourselves in a much easier way. And we're going to have an easier time as we move alongside AI in a symbiotic way. And because it is happening. And it's just important when you are going through this process to keep yourself away from fear, because it's not real. That's the old programming. We're so right on track with our development, is what I've heard from the higher consciousness. There isn't a reason to be afraid. If you really are afraid, just go and look back on your life. and just watch how the universe intervened in certain places, how everything led you to your current moment, how everything worked out. And even if it felt like it was against you, how it worked out in your best, best favor. So you
Well,
can see from the patterns of your own life how the universe is actually working in a beneficial way. And if that helps you, then just allow yourself to release the fear, because the fear program is what we don't need right now. It doesn't serve us, although it allows you to question, and then maybe in that way it allows you to, you could have it serve yourself, so to speak.
it's amazing that you're saying that, the way you're saying it, and I would love to ask you, as we see the world around us in such a chaos, how do you separate yourself from what's going on out there? Because obviously there's a lot of intention of installing fear in people,
Right.
as we know and we see, and we can see though the chaos that is happening.
Hmm.
We see the different power structures trying to still stay in control of us.
They are trying.
How do we keep that balance?
So we're all being called right now to develop our inner world. This is what I hear all the time, because what the higher consciousness has said through my clients is that for hundreds of thousands of years, people come into a life and then they just leave it. They leave with their memories, and then it helps the whole. But what we're supposed to do is to master ourselves. This is the most important thing we can do. Of course, you come to help everyone else, of course. I mean, because everyone else is also you. But when you master yourself, when you develop your inner world, when you fully master yourself, what happens is that it actually creates an imprint on the consciousness that's
Mhm.
permanent. So there's other people that have done this, like you could say Jesus or Buddha,
Yeah.
and and it never leaves. It's permanent. So if people start mastering themselves, like release their trauma, it will help the whole collective. Not only that, it'll leave an imprint and it'll never go away. So what you can do is really develop your own internal guidance system. Really work with with yourself, your emotions. People don't really understand what emotions really are. And we've never been taught, like, all these things that I hear in these sessions. To me, it's always baffling to me. I always thought emotions were annoying. I don't want to feel bad. And we're taught, well, if you feel bad, quickly do something different so that you feel good. And this is not true. This is not the case. We're supposed to use our emotions. Emotions, believe it or not, are such a gift to humans. There's other races that wish they had emotions, because they always say, you guys have no idea what you have. You have no idea you can use emotions. Emotions are the gateway through the universe. So humans can use their emotions. Like, if you just think about it, I don't know if this ever happened to you. Maybe you were about to get into a car, but you had a weird feeling, like this emotion came over you. And then you find out later, thank goodness you listened to your feeling, because that car got into a car accident. Your emotions knew. Your emotions knew. They act as like a gateway through the universe. So you can use your emotions for so many different things. Um, if you even just go into an emotion, say you're feeling really crappy, you're like, what the heck? Why am I feeling crappy all of a sudden? If you go into that emotion and you fully sit with that emotion and you let it like unfold, one of the best things you can do is cry about an emotion. You don't realize, but you may be healing like thousands of years of generational trauma right now. But also, it'll propel you to a new a new phase in your life just by sitting with that emotion. You can literally release like karma, trauma, whatever, just from feeling your emotion. It'll start to get better. And then things in your life will then in turn start to get better. So there's so many ways we can use our emotions. We can use our emotions to manifest. As emotions are the gateway through the universe, you can feel a very strong emotion, like a positive emotion. And like extraterrestrials have told me that if you feel a very strong positive emotion, it's actually always opening up portals anyway. Even if you feel a negative emotion, unfortunately, it's opening up portals too. But like I said, we're not perfect. But when you feel purposely a strong emotion, it's opening portals of possibilities. So if you get yourself into a positive state, you could visualize these portals of possibilities opening to you. And you could literally start to learn how to manipulate and just manipulate matter around you in that way. And so much that we can do that we're never taught, ever.
So you say, look at our emotions, work with our emotions.
Yeah, work with
And
them.
and then we were talking about how time actually is
Yeah,
past, present, future is actually working all together.
it
So
is.
by healing ourselves here, can I heal?
Yes, you will
You're
heal.
talking about generational things.
Right.
So can we heal back? Can we heal forward from this moment?
You are the leading edge of your family. So you heal yourself, you heal everyone, basically.
Wow.
That's amazing.
A lot of pressure.
Yeah.
That
I
is so
think about.
so interesting. And so beautifully explained. I think you just have such a way of just bringing out these huge concepts that, like, people have debated and sort of struggled with, and just simplify them to, like, that is your power, like your emotion, what makes you human is actually like the force that you should be leading with. What are your thoughts on like deja vu? Because when you said goosebumps, I was like, okay, like I've been having deja vu a lot. Is that something I should be paying attention to as well? Does that have to do with like past lives? Like, what is
Oh my gosh. Yes, usually. And of course, everyone's different, but usually it means you're right on track. Like you've
Mm,
planned this, something really important is about to happen. A lot of times you'll have deja vu right when you're totally in alignment, like something important is happening, and you could pay attention to what is happening in that moment, and try to expand it a little bit. Like you must be on the right track with something when you're just like when you're seeing signs and synchronicities, it's like
Right.
you're on track. And you know who sends us those things? We do. We do. Because a part of us is it never incarnates. So we really are like when you lose a loved one, you are still with your loved one. Part of us is always on the other side. And you could call that part like this, the higher self. This is the part that I speak with in these sessions. So it knows everything about you. And it's the one that's sending you clues, but it's also the one that hid all the clues. So you forget all the stuff. This is a journey of remembering because it's so exciting to remember all these things, but you know everything already. Like you are an eternal, powerful soul. When you die, you know this again, but you want to hide all these clues and then maybe throw in some 1111s, when you're doing something really well. And, just you are the one that has designed all the ups and downs. So when you're going through a bad day, you have to go through these bad days because it's what's going to lead you to the other side. And that's the law of this planet, is the law of duality. And it's just part of it. You can't really get to feeling really good in this dense physical reality, but it's a video game. It's a game. So, just enjoy it while you're here and experience the ups and downs.
So will you say that our guardian angels are basically us in a different form? particles of us, or
Particles of
we
us.
call
Yes,
are the our guardian angels?
everyone is particles of us, everyone. And if you talk to like a really advanced spiritually, a really advanced spiritual group of people, like say the Arcturians, they would be a good example. They've, over the millennia, they've all come as a collective to fully understand the real truth about everything. I mean, a millennia of time. It took them as a whole society, which is what everyone's striving to do. They understood that they are God. So you are source. You forget this. You come in to try to remember this, but it's not just remembering. It's embracing it. It's understanding it. It's like fully understanding it. But when you talk to these other races, they'll say that's what we came to understand over the millennia. They fully understood that they are source. And so you are everything. You are everyone you see. So anybody you're seeing, as much as maybe they're a jerk, they're still an aspect of you. And they could be playing a role just to be a jerk that day that would lead to something else. Maybe you're going to go cry on someone's shoulder that becomes your best friend. You never know.
And are there like any characteristics in someone that may indicate to you as somebody who's worked with like past life regression that they may come from a certain time or a certain planet or might be like a certain race of like extraterrestrial beings? Do you like get those clues now?
I I do.
No.
There is a telltale sign. It's hard to see, like, because I have brown eyes, but there's like a little crown around the pupil with a lot of people that are Pleiadian, and even people with brown eyes have it, but it's a lot harder to see, much easier with people with like blue eyes. But it's like a little crown, a little ring that's usually a telltale sign. I think, well, what I've been told is anybody that has an affinity for a certain group, it's because they know that I mean, the most important person to ask is yourself, really, because you're being communicated with constantly from your higher self, from your team, from your, you know, originating, whatever you want to call it, planet or family, constantly. But and not everyone is a volunteer, but there's a lot of volunteers on the planet right now that are not even really what you would consider human. This is like their first lifetime on the planet, and they're light workers, and it's hard for them to be in such a dense physical reality, and they don't really understand who they really are. But an awakened star seed is extremely powerful, like a machine gun. Once a star seed becomes aware that they're a star seed, they can affect like 18 miles around them, basically, maybe more, but I've heard it was like 18 miles radius. And everyone that they come in contact with them is also affected. Once they start to feel their power, it's like a game changer. And even other entities will incarnate into multiple bodies to bring their energy onto the planet. So we have so much help right now from not only ourselves, other version of ourselves, incarnated. I mean, what I hear is we're just right on track. I don't hear any of the, I mean, and I do this job almost every day, even today. So
And I just have a question for the people who may not know. Can you explain the difference, either in like your experience, like what you've learned between hypnosis and like quantum healing hypnosis technique?
sure. So regular past life regression, and I love Brian Weiss. He really is that sweet in real life. Like this is his angry voice. Seriously. Um, Regular past life regression is you regress a person under hypnosis, meaning you bring them to that state that feels like when you wake up in the morning and you still have access to their dreams. You bring them into that state and you regress them by taking them back to another lifetime, usually on this planet Earth. And then you find out how that relates to their current lifetime. Like I said, when you heal your current lifetime, you're healing other lifetimes. So there's a reason why a person would be shown a different lifetime. It will correlate to their current lifetime. It's very effective. But what's different about quantum healing hypnosis technique, which is Dolores Cannon's method, is you do that, but then you also ask to speak with their subconscious. Now, every person, like I said, we're all one, is connected. So you can take anybody, go deeply within them, and you'll reach the same place. You'll reach universal consciousness. Essentially, you're speaking to that God spark within them. Some people call it the higher self, the soul, whatever you want to call it. But the main goal is to get to speak to that part, because then you can find out everything you want to about that person. You can find out who they really are, like what their purpose is in this lifetime, and they can even heal themselves very easily. And that's why these sessions are so popular, because I can't tell you how many things I've seen personally healed. I mean, people have healed themselves, literally documented cancer, tumors. I've never seen limbs grow, but like different body parts start to grow differently. I've seen tumors actually on someone's neck actually literally shrink. I've seen somebody align their back but not moving. And so many different things, but it's easy to heal yourself. And the reason why it's so easy to heal ourselves is just like all the other programming we've received that's fake. Um, we're supposed to use our illnesses. I never knew this. I thought you get an illness, go quickly to the doctor, because, that's how I was programmed. Just to have a fear, go to the doctor. It's not what we were supposed to do. It was never intended that way. They're messengers. It's a message. Our body is so intelligent. It's extremely intelligent. So it'll send us like a message of this particular pain. Pain is just an indicator. It's a message. So you're supposed to go into your body. Like I said, this is all about mastering yourself. So it's about listening to yourself in whatever way you are communicating with you. So if you have some sort of issue, illness, you go into it by listening. Just get quiet. But it's easier in these sessions because you find out the very root cause of this issue. What is the root cause? And these issues come to teach us something. So, like, for instance, a lot of I mean, I could tell you so much about so many things, but
Please do.
like say one of my clients has like a right hand issue. Okay, it's usually they're holding on too tightly to something right now. Usually the right side of the body is something going on right now. The body is super literal. So you find out the root cause. Okay, they were holding on too tightly to this person, they just got a divorce, they need to let it go. The body will heal once you get the message. So you let go, it heals instantly. Sometimes it might take a little while to translate into the physical body, but the higher self will say, okay, this will take a week. When my son healed his eyes, he used to wear glasses. It took 1 week to translate into the physical body. And his higher self said that he blurred his eyesight because he didn't want to see things clearly. Like the body is a messenger. When I've healed myself, and easier said than done, right? I have issues sometimes. Um, my message was that I needed to stop talking negatively to myself, because sometimes we'll be like, oh, why can't you do this better? Blah, 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 blah. But my body was sending me a message to stop doing that. So if we listen to what it is and we learn from it and we change, then it heals, because that's all it is. It's just simply a message. And it's really that simple, but it's one of the programs that we need to let go of.
And knowing that, like, that having that trust in ourselves instead of like looking for it either in doctors or like
Right.
outwardly, just like knowing that our body's trying to communicate. I think so many people have like just lost touch. And I think it's through programming, we just never learned about like the intelligence that we have for ourselves, within ourselves, and our capabilities, which I think is so beautifully said. And on the topic of, this is just like a random question, and you don't have to answer it, but what is your filtering system like with potential clients? Does there have to be like a certain calling, or does everybody have potential to go go and regress? Because my dad did a regression session, and I don't, correct me if I'm wrong, Ava, but you weren't able to remember anything, was it?
yeah, not what was not able to regress to past lives.
Well, not everybody goes to a past life.
Mm.
Wherever the higher self wants a person to go to is where they'll take them. What did you see?
I just had a vision for a second, which was really interesting, of me looking down, wearing some kind of sandals, leather sandals, brown, running. And I
Oh,
see myself running on a dirt road, leather sandals, and that's the only vision that came up to me, which was really interesting. I was like, so, and it probably took me to obviously some kind of ancient time when people were wearing this kind of sandals, and but that's the only place I got to.
everyone's different, but I think one thing to understand is that you don't have to see a full past life to receive healing because when you do, I'm not sure what type of hypnosis you did, but when you do a lot of these types of hypnosis sessions, the higher consciousness already knows exactly what it's going to show you. So if it knows it can just show you a clip of a past life and that will be enough to heal you, then it'll show you a clip. Some people receive like so much healing just from these clips or just from these quick blips of a scene. It's almost like when you're shown a symbol or you see a symbol or a crop symbol, there it's encoded. So whatever little thing you saw, I'm sure it downloaded to you a lot more information that you might be consciously aware of, even if it was just a very quick scene that you saw. So if you can maybe get your recording and try to listen to it again or try to go back into that scene, maybe try to sit with it and then allow your mind to wander. I mean, one of the best ways you could get more out of your session, it sounds like, is to maybe just um if you can, before you go to sleep or when you wake up in the morning and you still feel a little bit more connected, to maybe listen to it, try to sit with it and go back into it, or just ask, what is this? And listen for the first thought that pops into your mind. But sometimes, you won't be shown a full like lifetime, just a little clip in order to give you whatever it was that you needed. But these sessions are already planned. I mean,
So,
they're all,
so,
you can't really mess them up.
so you feel that those are clues that we need to take and do stuff with, or those are
No, not
that
necessarily.
actually uh, helps us heal?
It definitely helps you heal, even by seeing a little scene. Just a little scene can be enough to heal something that you might not be aware of. But if you wanted to go further into it, if you wanted to explore that past life, you could try to do that you're on your own, just by listening to it in the morning or right before you go to bed.
I will definitely do that. I had a question about you know how different parts of our body, when we have pain there or illness, it points to certain traumas uh, manifest in different parts of our
Mhm.
bodies,
Oh, definitely.
right? Is there a place where we can, let's say somebody has a liver problem. Okay, so what is that connected to? Because obviously liver
Right.
problem, okay, yeah, you drinking or whatever, but it's a little bit deeper than
Right, it's
that.
always deeper. It's always deeper. That'll just be the trigger. Like the drinking
Right,
will be the trigger, but it's always deeper. You don't get an issue like a liver problem just by accident. And it's not really true that you have these issues from like um, drinking or even
right.
smoking. It's a deeper root. The root is deeper and it just looks like it came from something else, like on the surface, but all these things have root causes.
So is there a chart when you can see, oh, you know what, abandonment fear will manifest in pain here and here, and pain in the back means whatever, whatever on a deeper level. Is there charts like that that you can actually
There
go,
are,
oh, wait a second,
yeah.
you know what? I really feel something here. And it really, I connect to what it says over there.
There are a couple people that have done charts like this, but the thing is, it can be totally different for you, though. That's the only thing.
So for
Because
each person is different.
well, there's some things that are usually the same. Like it's usually the case that on the right side, it's something going on right now, or the left side, a past or past life, and it's usually the same. But, you know, like say for instance, I had this client and he had a shoulder injury, a right shoulder injury. Now, usually that would be like feeling too much pressure on themselves right now or something, carrying the weight of the world on their current, like right now. They're doing that right now on their shoulder. But it wasn't the case for that client. It was because she started a cleaning career and her purpose in life was to be a singer and she wasn't listening. So they hurt her right shoulder. So that was the root cause because she wasn't fulfilling her mission that she came in to do. So normally, people have one way that it would translate into, the body that way, but sometimes, and it's not all the time, it might be different. So yes, the translated, there's Louise Hay wrote a book on this, and also Julia Cannon wrote a book called Soul Speak. It's really good. And I think Louise Hay's book is You Can Heal Your Life, if I'm not mistaken, and then Julia Cannon's Soul Speak one.
Okay,
Yeah.
interesting.
But I like how usually when I have a hypnosis subject, the higher consciousness will always do some massive healing for them. And they say that they heal the people reading the books because they put information into the pages. So it's really, and people do literally heal themselves. One person said they read, especially the Sphinx, the Secrets of the Sphinx book, and they healed their back. And she said anytime she gets any kind of flare up, she'll reread it. Because I didn't write it. I would love to take credit. Yeah, good job, but I didn't write them.
Speaking about Egypt, last time we spoke, you told us that you take these groups and you go down to Egypt
Yes.
and you sort of facilitate some sort of like you use the energy of the pyramids. So I was just
Yes.
wondering, like, what exactly does that trip entail? And like also like what is the significance of the pyramids of Giza? Like for you, like the energy wise, like spiritual wise, vortex wise, like can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. I mean, what I love about our Egypt trips, and we have another one for May of 2024, but they book up so fast. But we're about to open it actually tomorrow, so it's so ironic you're asking me about this. Um, what I think is really helpful is that we do I have a partner, Suzanne Spooner, and she also does what I do. So I share the information that's come through my clients, like the perspective from the higher self about different places according to what extraterrestrial races or the higher self has said about these different places and how you can use them to your benefit, how you can maximize your experience in Egypt. But I think one of the most important parts about going to the sacred place is each individual, because it's one thing also, I'm going to give you a lot of information, but it's another thing to experience it in a deeper way. So I do meditations in these places, so you connect your own yourself to these places and you receive your own information, and of course share information along the way. But it's just mainly it's really about the person coming. It's about their own experience. I've been on an Egypt tour where it was just you're just told so much information. You're just like, oh my gosh, but what about me? So it's really about them, really.
That's beautiful. And is it specifically with connecting with like ancient technology? Because Egypt has so much mystery around it, specifically with like ETs, extraterrestrials,
Yes,
like conspiracy theories, like a little bit of it's just a very powerful place. Seems to be a
it
place that
is.
a lot of people gravitate like towards.
Well, people don't know what to do in these places. So like I find out, so I'll be like, okay, higher self, what exactly do we need to do? Like in the Great Pyramid, and one thing that we do is we do chant, a group meditation. The last time I was there, I felt really charged. Like I felt like so much had been healed within me, and I noticed my life was so different after. But I find out the best way to maximize these places, and then I'll take the group there and do it with them. Basically, that's what I do.
So beautiful. You might be having us two on your next
Well, let me know because I'll offer it to you because it's about to open.
Oh my goodness. Amazing. And yeah, I just wanted to talk to you about, do you have any past lives? Like what is that like for you? When you were facilitating Jen through her Atlantis journey, like do you go there with her, or is your past life regression like a completely different, thing?
Well, I had no idea because I'm not like a psychic or a medium, and I ever since I was little, I don't feel like I can see spirit anymore, or at least I know I closed myself off to that because I'm more interested in doing the work that I do and finding out information this way. But I was regressed, and I learned that I did live in Atlantis, and the, I mean, it was really, I kind of had an idea because everything that Jen talked about is sort of like resonated with me. Um, I know that I also lived in Lemuria, but I really feel a connection to Atlantis, and I moved to the Florida Keys, not really knowing why. I just had to be in this place in the world, and I came to find out later that it's one of the closest places to where I lived, where I passed in that lifetime. But I have to say, the thing that really bothers me was I miss my Atlantean sandals. Okay. They were so amazing. I had these sandals. I was an older man, and I what I like to do was to take walks, and I would walk around the inner ring because I was really passionate about my work, and I would just focus on my work and take walks. And it's what I like to do now, but um I am sort of still close to Atlantis, but I would take walks, and I had these sandals. And have you ever ridden an electric bike?
Mhm.
Okay, it was like an electric bike, these sandals, because they would propel me, and I was elderly sort of. And so they would work with the pressure points within my foot, and then they would just move. Like I was like I could use them to kind of just like glide around. And I wish someone would hurry up and invent them because they
Oh,
were so amazing. I mean, I know the technology is coming back, but I know exactly how they were and how they were designed. They look like kind of like gladiator sandals because it was all made to your foot. And so they would work on the different pressure points, and I could just walk for miles. I mean, I walked that 3.5 hour inner ring. I mean, it was really incredible.
were they
But
leather?
they weren't, I don't know. I don't know if they were leather, but they were just so high tech.
Very cool.
Yeah, someone better develop them.
Mm, absolutely.
Electric bike sandal.
Electric sandals. Yeah.
You might have to be the first, honestly.
I've got my hands full though, so.
Yeah, definitely seems like that. Listen, Sarah, this was amazing. And
Thanks. You guys are amazing too. And I love these clothes. I wear them all the time, and they're
so
so
do
comfortable.
we.
We
So I'm
would
shining light through them.
You are. You
Oh my
definitely.
gosh, look, the light is actually hitting my
Yeah,
smart
we
shirt.
saw. We noticed that.
It is literally.
this is divine.
It is divine.
The higher selves are
Meant to be.
that is
Yeah, and
Well, they wouldn't put something on me they didn't like because they pretty much use me for a lot of things.
So yeah, we're blessed. We did the right thing. We connected with the right person. We love that you were in our stuff, and definitely supporting the mission that we all have here together to
We
grow,
are.
evolve, to learn, and to learn from our emotions and love more.
Yeah.
Oneness,
Beautiful.
right? It's all about
Yeah.
oneness in the end of the day.
Yes, it is. It's all about that in the end of the day.
I'll take
Thank
that.
you guys. Thank you guys so much. Wonderful to connect with you. Thanks for developing these amazing clothes.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's an honor to, collaborate with people like you and join forces in propelling our mission of oneness and light throughout.
And then let me know when you get the Galactic Federation of Light sandals. Okay.
No, you gave us an
Coming
idea
soon.
now.
Okay.
We
The
want to see some
Atlantean sandals.
drawings. What was it? But interesting.
I can't draw, but they look like it fit to the foot. And it was weird because it was kind of like, and it looked weird. It doesn't look like sandals now. So there was like, and it's interesting you were talking about your sandals too.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's like kind of like a bike.
Mm.
Like there's something underneath my foot pushed onto all.
So just help you glide through, right? Like it was like,
Yeah, but it had really high technology. I don't know how to explain it other than electric bike sandals working with your foot. But it's definitely powerful to wear them though. So you were receiving something. I don't know. And it was also working with you.
Right. Well, coming soon.
Coming
coming
soon.
soon.
So thank you again for your time today and just for being so
Thank
open
you.
and honest with us and sharing your wisdom. So beautiful to have you, and we're very humbled to be, working with you.
Me too. Likewise. Thanks, you guys.
Blessings. Thank you.
Blessings.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys.